After completely watching this video, you will not be you. I am not joking. There is a reason they never teach this in school. There is a reason the people at the top never talk about what actually separated them from everyone else. It was not hard work. It was not discipline. It was a specific psychological shift, a moment where they stopped being one thing and became something else entirely, something unrecognizable to the people who knew them before. That shift is what this video is about. And once it happens to you, average becomes physically impossible. What I'm about to walk you through is a 4-stage psychological process. It is not comfortable. It is not designed to be. Comfort is what built the version you're trying to escape. Stage 1, you kill the old identity. Stage 2, you strip out everything that made you human in the wrong way. Stage 3, you enter the room where the real rewiring happens. Stage 4, you meet the version of you that was always supposed to exist. 15 minutes, 4 stages, 1 decision. Whether you take this seriously or let it become another video you watched and forgot. Let's go. You cannot build the new version on top of the old one. The old one has to die first. Here is the problem with almost every self-improvement approach that exists. People try to add more discipline on top of the old patterns, more motivation layered over the old mindset, new habits bolted onto an identity that was never upgraded. And it collapses every time because you cannot renovate a foundation. You have to demolish it and pour a new one. The identity you are currently running is not yours. Let me prove it. Every belief you have about what you're capable of, where did it come from? Every ceiling you accept, who installed it? Every time you said, "I'm just not that type of person," who told you that first? Trace any limitation you have back far enough and you will always find someone else at the origin. A parent, a teacher, a relationship, a failure at a specific age that you turned into a permanent verdict. You have been living inside a story written by people who were also afraid, and their fear got embedded into your identity as if it were fact. Identity. Death is not about losing yourself. It is about losing the self that was never yours to begin with. Here is what identity death looks like in practice. You stop explaining yourself using your history. I've always been like this. Dead. That's just how I am. Dead. I'm not really a person who, dead. Every sentence that uses your past as evidence for your ceiling gets cut, not argued with, cut, because you cannot think your way out of an identity. You have to stop feeding it. You stop performing the old character in social situations. Every group you are part of has cast you in a role. The funny one, the reliable one, the one who never quite makes it, the one who plays it safe. You have been playing that role so long, the costume feels like skin. Identity death means walking into those rooms and refusing the role, saying less, observing more, not performing, not managing impressions, just being present as the version that is still becoming, not the version they already decided you are. You draw a dateline. Today is the death date of the old identity, not the improvement of it. The death. The old version had its chapter. It is closed. Everything from this day forward is written by a different person. The pain. The old identity is comfortable because it's known. Even when it's painful, it's familiar. And your brain will fight its death, not because the old identity is good for you, but because your brain treats identity as survival information. Losing it feels like danger. That feeling is a lie. It is the old system protecting itself. The delete, the story, the character, the role, the borrowed limitations, all of it today. The version of you that blends in, reacts, people pleases, and seeks approval, that has to be surgically removed. This stage is where it gets disturbing. I'm not going to soften it. Most of what makes you relatable is also what makes you average. The flinching when someone challenges you, the oversharing to fill silence, the compulsive need to be liked by people whose opinion should mean nothing to you, the anger that surfaces when things don't go your way, the anxiety that arrives uninvited and takes over your decision-making, the guilt you feel when you prioritize yourself, the smallness you perform so that other people feel comfortable around you. These are not personality traits. They are leaks. They are places where your psychological energy is bleeding out constantly, and the person you're trying to become cannot afford them. Human removal training is the process of identifying every leak and closing it. Leak 1. Emotional reactivity. Every time your emotional state is controlled by an external event, a comment, a result, a person's behavior, you are leaking. The elite version of you is not emotionless. They are emotionally sovereign. They feel what they feel and they do not let it drive. Close this leak by practicing what I call the 3-second rule. Before every emotional response, 3 seconds of observation. What is this emotion? Is it useful here? What is the most intelligent action regardless of how I feel? 3 seconds becomes automatic. Automatic becomes identity. Leak 2, approval seeking. If you change your behavior based on what you think someone wants to see, in the room, on the post, in the conversation, you are leaking. The need for approval is the single most expensive psychological habit a human being can carry because it outsources your decision-making to people who are not living your life. Remove it by making a specific practice of acting without announcing. Do the thing without posting it. Make the decision without consulting the group chat. Move in silence until silence becomes your default mode of operation. Leak 3, people-pleasing. Saying yes when you mean no. Shrinking your opinion to avoid conflict. Apologizing for taking up space. These are not kindness. They are fear wearing the costume of kindness. True kindness is honest. True strength is boundaried. People-pleasing produces resentment in you and a quiet contempt in others because deep down, people do not respect someone who can be controlled by their approval. Remove this by saying what is true instead of what is comfortable. Once. Just once a day, build the muscle. Leak 4. Distraction hunger. The compulsive reach for the phone. The inability to sit in silence, the constant need for stimulation. This is not a lifestyle preference. It is an underdeveloped nervous system. The ability to sit with discomfort, with silence, with uncertainty, and not flinch. That is the foundation of elite thinking. Close this leak by deliberately practicing discomfort. Sit with nothing for 10 minutes a day. No input, no stimulation, just you and your own mind. This is the most disturbing practice I'll give you today. It is also the most valuable. The install. After every leak is identified, patch it with its opposite. Reactivity becomes observation. Approval-seeking becomes sovereign action. People-pleasing becomes honest speech. Distraction hunger becomes tolerance for silence. You are not removing humanity. You are removing the weakness that was hiding inside it. The Red Room is the place where the real rewiring happens. No audience, no applause, just you and the work. Every person who has ever become genuinely elite has a version of the Red Room. It is not a physical place, although it can be. It is a psychological state, a mode of operation, a relationship with self-development that is private, intense, and completely indifferent to external validation. Most people develop in public. They post their progress, they announce their goals, they build an audience around their becoming. And there is a reason this feels good. Because when you announce a goal and receive validation for it, your brain releases the same reward chemical it would release if you had actually achieved the goal, which means the announcement satisfies the drive without producing the result. You feel like you've moved when you haven't. The Red Room operates on the opposite principle. Nothing that happens inside it gets announced. The books you read in it, private. The skills you develop in it, private. The rewiring you do in it, private. The progress you make in it, private. Why? Because privacy protects the process. When development is private, it cannot be compromised by other people's opinions. It cannot be derailed by someone's doubt or their praise. It cannot be influenced by what gets the most likes or what seems most impressive. It is pure, just you, the work, and the gap between who you are and who you are becoming. What happens inside the Red Room? First, brutal, honest self-assessment. Not the version you'd share with anyone. The real one. What are you actually bad at? Where do you consistently underperform? What have you been avoiding because it exposes a gap? The Red Room is where you face those things without the social protection of a narrative around them. Second, deliberate skill acquisition. Not passive consumption, not watching videos about skills. The active, uncomfortable, repetitive practice of building capabilities that the current version of you doesn't have. Reading deeply, not broadly. Practicing specifically, not generally. Studying the people who already are what you're becoming. Not for motivation, but for mechanics. What exactly do they do differently? Copy the mechanics. The style will come later. Third, mental recalibration. Every day in the Red Room includes a reset of the internal standard. A check-in with the version of yourself you are building toward. Not, am I motivated today, but am I operating at the level of the person I have decided to become? This question, asked honestly and regularly, is one of the most powerful behavioral regulators that exists. The pain, The red room is not Instagram. Nothing in it produces immediate external reward. It is the most uncomfortable room in your psychological architecture because everything in it requires you to be honest about the gap without any outside validation to soften the view. The install. Carve out 60 minutes every day that belongs only to the red room. Same time, no exceptions. During that 60 minutes, no consumption, no posting, no output for anyone else. Only the work that makes you sharper. Read, practice, reflect, recalibrate. Do this for 90 days in complete silence, and you will be unrecognizable to the people who thought they knew you. The old identity is dead. The leaks are closed. The rewiring is happening. Now, who are you actually becoming? This is the final stage, and it is the most important, because most people who get this far make a critical error. They think the new you is a destination, something you arrive at, a finished product you finally become after enough work. It is not. The new you is a standard of operation, a daily mode, a commitment that is renewed every single morning before the world has a chance to remind you who you used to be. Here is what the new you actually looks like, not as an abstract ideal, but as a concrete, daily, operational reality. The new you is unreadable. Average people are transparent. You can see their reactions coming. You can predict their behavior. They are easy to manipulate because their emotional responses are automatic and visible. The new you has developed the observer gap, the pause between stimulus and response, to the point where people cannot read you in real time. Your composure is not coldness, it is control. And control, worn quietly, is one of the most powerful signals a human being can project. The new you thinks in systems. Where average people react to events, the new you is always looking at the layer beneath the event. The pattern, the mechanism, the repeating structure. This means you see things coming before they arrive. This means you are never fully surprised by outcomes because you read the system that was producing them weeks in advance. This is what makes you look ahead of everyone. You're not smarter in a raw sense. You're operating on a deeper level of reality. The new you is not available to everyone. One of the most significant upgrades of the new you is selectivity. Time, attention, energy, none of it is given freely or out of obligation. The new you understands that your most valuable resource is not money, it is cognitive bandwidth. Every person, every obligation, every environment you give it to either sharpens you or dulls you. The new you moves through relationships and environments with a constant assessment. Does this make me more or less? And it exits quietly and without drama the things that make it less. The new you operates on a higher floor. Not a higher ceiling, a higher floor. The minimum standard of daily performance. The lowest level you will accept from yourself in terms of thought quality, decision quality, physical condition, and output. When the floor rises, everything above it rises automatically. You are not grinding for peaks anymore. You are maintaining a level of baseline operation that most people only reach on their best days, and making it your worst. The new you does not explain itself. Average people justify. They defend. They explain their choices to audiences that were never entitled to explanations. The new you has no such compulsion. Decisions are made and executed. Progress is built in the red room and revealed only in results. There is no performance. There is no announcement. There is only the work, and then the output. And people will notice the output without you ever having to point to it. The installation, the morning protocol of the new you. Before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone, before the world boots up its narrative and tries to hand you the old version of yourself, spend 5 minutes in this sequence. 1. Remind yourself of who you have decided you are, not who you were, who you have decided to become. Specifically, name the character, name the standard. 2. Identify the one action today that the new you would do that the old you would find a reason to avoid. That action is your first move. Do it before everything else. 3. Set the floor for the day. What is the minimum quality of thinking, of work, of decision-making you will accept from yourself today? Name it. Hold it. This protocol does not take motivation. It does not require you to feel ready. It requires only that you do it, and that you take it seriously enough to mean it. You just sat through 15 minutes that most people would have clicked off of. That is already evidence that the version of you I've been describing is real and it is present. Now, one action before you leave this video. Write down which of the 4 stages you are furthest behind in: identity death, human removal, red room, or new you. That is your entry point. That is where you begin today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, today. One last thing. This video was called the most disturbing 15 minutes that could turn you into a different person. The disturbance was never the content. The disturbance is realizing you were capable of this the entire time. Don't waste it.